How's it going, billionaire? Today, I have a video about why arguing can really ruin your life and really just ruin your energy on a day-to-day basis. And why you got to start debating with people. You got to stop arguing. And so before I get into anything in this video, I want to make the point that in your life, you're always going to argue with people. You're going to get into heated debates with your brother. You're going to get into heated debates with your parents. You're always going to get into arguments with your girlfriend or like just a random person on the street. Maybe you're having a bad day, right? Who knows what's going to happen, right? But you're always going to get into arguments. But the point is, you got to limit the amount of arguments you get into. And I think it's important too to really realize what the difference between a argument and a debate. So an argument is basically the same thing as a debate, but the key difference is that it's from a place of emotion, like it's heated. It's not just purely about, logic, right? Whereas the debate is about logic. It's pretty much the same thing, but there's less emotionalness to it. It's just logic. It's just my point of view versus your point of view without extra theatrics. And so that's the point I think is really important is like so many people constantly are arguing with people because as humans, we all have different opinions. We all have different points of view of life. So we always are going to argue with people if you spend enough time with people, right? But I think you probably know someone like this who can just nonstop argue about everything and gets heated all the time. There's just constantly, something that they want to argue about. And then there's someone else who you just have debates with. Like you disagree on stuff, but it never gets too heated. You just kind of give each other, you just kind of say your point and move on, right? And you probably realize like the person that doesn't, argue as much and just simply debates with you, you probably have a very, solid relationship with them because it's never really getting damaged by arguments. Whereas the person you argue with, you probably do have a good relationship with them. It might be your mom, your brother, your girlfriend, it might be anyone, right? But there probably is a lot of days or just hours of the day where you get mad at them and you just don't want to be around them because they're just constantly arguing. It's a big emotional stress to be around them at times. And at the end of the day, too, it's like arguing is a thing between two humans, but it's also in your own mind. Because that's the thing. You can argue in your own mind. You can literally like be so emotional about every little decision. And like, let's say you're about to go work out, right? You can make a bunch of emotional like reasons why you don't want to work out or why it can be too hard or this or that, right? Or you can just simply debate it. You can think, all right, why would I not work out? Just logically. And then more often than not, there's just not a real answer. Unless there's actually a real answer. Maybe you would genuinely hurt your ankle or your arm's in a cast or something, right? Like maybe there's a real reason, right? But more often than not, there's simply not. But that's the point. When you attach emotions to a argument or a debate, like the whole argument or the whole structure of what's happening is completely different. Versus when you just debate, even within your own mind to yourself, it's much more logical, a lot more, like life can be a lot more smooth that way. And as you can tell, like this whole video is not scripted at all. I didn't write anything down. This idea just came to me. So I'm kind of like piecing the video together as I go. But I'm not sure if there's actually much more to say. I think the last thing I'll say is the whole reason you should stop arguing, there is emotional backlash to it with other people or even in your own mind. But a bigger thing for me is just time. Like everyone knows when you get into an argument with someone, even when the argument literally ends, and even if you're, more mature and you actually apologize, you actually move forward, after the argument ends, it never truly ends. Everyone knows in your own mind, you're sitting there saying, oh, well, I should have said this at that point, or why did they disrespect me like that, or why did I even say this to them? I wish I didn't. Like, there's so many points where, like, you just, like, are still in the argument way after it ends. And it's always a different amount of time, right? It can be 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days. It can be a year after the argument, depending on how emotionally heated the argument was. And that's kind of the crazy thing too, is most arguments don't start off too emotionally heated, but they kind of like slowly rise. Like it goes from like being a little bit emotional to very emotional within a couple minutes. Just one name call, one little thing. But of course too, this is just a part of life, like I said. It's not something you can completely avoid, but you can do your part in trying to always steer arguments back towards debate. And ultimately, too, it's like when you know someone who constantly argues, you do need to just protect your own energy. You need to make it a point not to always give in to their arguments. to even avoid some arguments. Like, I know some people want to frown upon that, want to say like, oh, you shouldn't avoid arguments, but honestly, you really should at a lot of times. You know, that's up for your own discernment. That's your own choice of what you should avoid and what you shouldn't. But honestly, man, like, I think the hardest part is that the most heated arguments really do occur with the people we love the most. It's not like the most heated arguments really happen with people we don't care about. So it's like the people you love, you know, are the same people who can get the most emotional reaction out of you. Because even too, those are the people who know how to push your buttons. You know, they know what to say to you that's going to get you mad. They know what to say to you that's going to get a reaction out of you. And so your job as a human being is to somewhat also just like not let people get a reaction out of you by also not having things that you can get a reaction out of, or not having things that people can get a reaction out of you. Like basically healing your own personal trauma, you know, your own personal life things that, you know, cause you to feel certain ways so that other people can't push those buttons. Like they can't push a button that's not even there. And I'm not saying just like kill off all emotionalness in your life, right? I'm just saying heal yourself, you know, become more holy within yourself, and you just simply won't get into as many arguments because you won't even feel the need to defend yourself all the time. But yeah, please start debating more too, though, because debate is actually very important as well. You know, it's important to actually see life from different points of view and to understand other people's point of view, especially when it comes to like relationships, like romantic relationships, but also just like friendships and your relationship with your parents. Like when you can understand life from their point of view, you can actually debate in a more logical way and a way where it actually gets you closer. And that can be a really beautiful thing as well. Even the openness, like when you, this is the last thing I'm gonna say, the openness you can feel within a person whenever they're someone who's known to just simply debate and not argue. It's like you feel like you can come to them with any type of like, you know, thing to say. You can come to them with any argument and you know it's not going to get too heated. You're just going to be able to logically talk about it. And you're actually going to get somewhere. You're actually going to get a point across, feel heard, potentially actually learn something. Whereas in arguments, it's really honestly most of the time you don't really learn anything. You kind of just get emotionally heated. The other person gets emotionally heated. You guys both realize after the fact usually that, well, that was way too heated. We shouldn't have done that. And sometimes you do learn a lesson, but it comes with a bunch of extra things. Whereas debate, you come together, you know, you have different points of view. Sometimes your point of view changes, sometimes it doesn't, but usually you learn something. And so that's the point, you know, just find ways to stop arguing and find ways to steer towards debate. Because your own personal just energy is really important, so you gotta protect it. But yeah, I've been yapping for the past couple minutes, so I'm gonna end the video there. Thank you for listening if you did. I hope this video can help you in some way. Thank you for watching. I love you. Goodbye.